Ladies and gentlemen, for a session sponsored by BridgeStreet, please welcome President and CEO BridgeStreet, Sean Worker, in discussion with Skift founder and CEO, Rafat Ali.
Hey, it's me again. Well, thank you, everyone. This is great. Sean, thank you for being here.
Thanks, Rafat.
So, shifting gears a little bit, we talked about a lot of big brands through the morning, hospitality, airlines, tech companies. BridgeStreet is a 20-year-old company focused on historically in the corporate hospitality space. Turns out now, 20 years later, you're right in the middle of all the big disruption happening in the hospitality space. You've been there for 8 years, tried to do a transformation of the company from a digital perspective, from all different parts of the company, and now you're trying to redefine the space as well. 7+ nights is what you're saying is where your sweet spot lies. Explain why and explain what that means.
Yeah, so we kind of think of ourselves as an upstart rather than a startup, because you build on 20 years of legacy with basically a B2B business in service apartments, and you go, okay, what's the big problem we're trying to solve? And it's solving for businesses that are really confused. They're confused on how to book 7-night stays. So we've built a unified platform that speaks to and unifies service departments, extended stay hotels, sharing economy products, hostels, and then essentially going horizontal rather than going vertical. And that gives our Inc. 5,000 clients exactly what they've been asking us to present to them and serve up to them.
So in terms of what the difference between, let's say, a more alternative accommodation, one of the well-known brands versus BridgeStreet, your clients are mainly corporate travelers and the different personas that corporate travelers inhibit, right?
Right, so from a use case perspective, we certainly serve up for business leisure, so bleisure, an overused term, and then equally solving for their expanded needs that are somewhat Airbnb-led. How do you serve up interesting, valued content and curated experiences in a policy-driven and policy-laden, trust-ridden world and make it really easy for them to book? And so use cases would be everything from relocation to consulting services to project management to interns, and they want a wide range of accommodation that they just can't access easily on any of the platforms.
So how much of the usage do you want it to be repeat business versus me, I'm just coming here for some conference or some family occasion, quickly book one time and I'm done? Is that a use case you're thinking as well?
Yeah, it's both of that, but our client base, so we're solving from having a high quality demand side with it fairly easy to solve for the supply side. Most of the models out there are supply led. We're demand led. So our customer base built up over 20 years, it's an 88% retention rate. So once they're embedded in us, they stick with us. So it's a very sticky model. So this is now scaling that globally to give them also business leisure opportunities, experiences that they can add on to that in a closed environment that's secure and trusted.
And you just, in the digital transformation you did, you went from an asset-heavy model, I'm guessing at some point, to asset-light model. What has that allowed you to do in terms of
so we have a legacy of being able to service in any location in the world. We're across 1,600 cities. So the ability for us to then service on the ground, and they have a one-stop shop with a merchant of record and supplier of record, so it makes it very easy for us to give them data. Performance data as well as experiential data, because it's a travel manager booking it, but it's their associate or teammate that's consuming it. And we can give both personas data, and that's what's valuable. And so that's now very, very scalable as we widen the lens to incorporate different layers. So for instance, on the supply layer, we have added thousands of suppliers, and now certainly on the road to millions of room nights that can be consumed easily for 7-night plus. And that's been a big issue out there because it's all been siloed. You have to go to an individual hospitality brand, or you have to go to a sharing economy brand and then jump out of your environment as opposed to being able to consume it all in one location.
Are you seeing sort of loosening of the corporate travel policies? Obviously, Airbnb sort of knocked at the door for that in a big way. Uber, in its own way, on the transportation side. Are the corporate travel policies changing? How are you pushing on the boundaries of
Well,
that?
we're so bound into about 12 verticals, so that we really get insight into many of our customers that are well-known names and not far from here. That many of them are early adopters, as you'd expect. And then you get the ones that want to be adopters, but it just doesn't fit in their policy or their transaction stack or in their legal test. So we've solved for that through either background checks and fully integrated background checks into vetted and curated supply. So we only do business with businesses on the demand side and businesses on the supply side. So that gives a unique position for us to deliver high quality supply to a highly curated oriented demand stack.
In terms of sort of tech that you're thinking about into integrating BillByPartner, this is a question I'm asking all people on stage. What are you building? What are you buying? What are you partnering on?
Yeah, so we don't see any need to buy. Actually, we're probably interested in some of the enablement technology that a lot of the previous speakers have talked about, because there's a gap from the broad range of accommodation suppliers that either in their sales teams or others don't have a specialty in being able to access hard to get to big name clients. They only want, the big name clients and the big name brands only want to access one person to do it all.
Right.
And they want a frictionless environment, so we've provided that. So now it's finally in this space, there's fit for purpose, there's specialty players, but even many of the major hotel brands who oftentimes have a struggle filling their extended stay hotels with high quality, long stay demand are now working on our platform to access that in a different way.
In terms of, and we've talked a lot about personalization today through the whole day, we'll continue to talk about it today. In a corporate environment, a BridgeStreet type environment, obviously you already have a lot of data on at least the companies that are part of your business. Are you thinking about personalization beyond obviously the companies themselves? Like what level does the personalization go in and how deep can you go?
So we have 20 years of data and probably in this sense of what is quality data is about 7 years old. So we know exactly what the behaviors are in most countries in the world and where the rubs are when you get there. So we use destination service providers or on-the-ground specialists that get you from here to there if we need to, depending on whether in service apartments, sharing economy products, for instance, One Fine Stay and Vive and Oasis are utilizing our platform. And they all have different needs, but they fulfill that last mile, or sometimes the last 5 feet, and getting the keys and making sure everything's easy to get to. That personalization has actually been part of our DNA for 15 years, because we need to make sure they actually get to their location quickly and easily, and they can contact us in any way, be it in a mobile device, there's somebody at the end of the phone, or a bot.
In terms of mobile usage, are you seeing a lot of business travelers using only mobile in their behavior and that's the only thing that they want?
If it's not on mobile, it doesn't count.
Right.
So, if you're not there with a fully operational, everything from air to car to, accommodation, you don't count. And so everybody's on mobile. And if you're not, then you just simply don't count.
And how do you skirt around some of the you mentioned some of the policy, which is a loaded word, by the way, that we can unravel. How do you skirt around some of the issues around legality and
so the licensing issue and who's legal and who's not, because we only do business with businesses, we don't need to worry about that because they're fully curated. We partnered with LRA by Deloitte to go and actually vet the businesses. And
these are the actual properties.
These are actually the actual businesses, and then we spot check properties, so they need to be licensed. So anything that's on our platform is compliant with local regulations, and you got to be a good citizen. It's too transparent, and as Mr. O'Donoghue Expedia said, you got to be a good citizen.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. Thank you for your time.
It's a pleasure.
All right.
Thanks.